All right, folks, today we're going to be talking about the Sightron SIII. First of all, I want to thank you all for subscribing and sharing and everything. We're up to 1,100 subscribers. As of last month, we're down to 900. So we're really, we're putting out some content. We're getting a lot of new subscribers. I thank you guys for joining us. For all of you old subscribers, you've probably seen this rifle right here in action before. This is my Tikka T3 7mm mag. It started right out just as a basic hunter model with the wood stock and everything. And I tested this GRS stock through Optic, like it a lot, ended up buying it. But the final piece of the puzzle is, of course, this scope here. Came from Doug's Optics and Outdoors. He's been a huge help to us. If it wasn't for him, honestly, I probably would never even get my hands on something like this. I mean, we're not made of money here. You know, everything comes out of our pockets, so it was really cool of him to send this to us, let me test it out. And I still haven't sent it back after a year. And he's been really patient about it. He says, you know what, we want a good review, we want good data on it. So hopefully I can give you some pretty good information on it today. Like I said, if you've been watching the channel for a while, we've been putting this thing to the test. I'll be putting all the videos where I'm using this scope, woodchuck hunting, deer hunting. Actually ended up getting my deer last year, one of my does, at 630 yards. Now, I caught some flack on that. People were like, well, you shouldn't shoot that far on animals, this, that, and the other. But the truth is that I was able to trust this scope enough to pull that shot off, and I tested it beforehand plenty of times. So that gives you an idea that I actually trusted this scope to do what it had to do, plus my hand loads, plus everything. So what sets this apart from any of the other scopes I've ever owned? I've always bought scopes that were probably in the $300, $400 range max. And I was curious for myself to see what a scope like this, which is in the $800 to $1,000 range, how much better could it actually be? And the biggest difference I've seen in this scope over any other is just the clarity of it throughout its zoom range. I had a Vortex Viper 6.5 to 20 power, and I'm here to tell you it just was not that good on 20 power. I really wasn't that impressed with it. This is a 6 to 24. On 24 power, this thing's eye relief is just the same as it was on 20 power. So just really happy with it. The clarity is unreal, and I have really no good way of showing you that other than some cell phone pictures that Garrett and myself took. As you can see, we had this deer at 220 yards. I had it on 20 power, nice little 8-point, and this picture just looks unreal. Like, it looks like it's photoshopped. I assure you it's not. Like, that's how clear the scope actually is. The reticle on it is the MOA2 reticle, which I really love that. It's a nice fine dot right there in the middle. You've got the hash marks that equal 2 MOA each, and it's a first focal plane. So that means when you're zooming in and out, you're also zooming in and out of that reticle. So what that does for you is that reticle, the hash marks are always going to be 2 minutes no matter what zoom you're on. So when my dope called for, take for example, a woodchuck I got, it was like 360 yards, 3 MOA hold, and instead of dialing the scope like I normally did, I actually had the scope zoomed out and used the hash marks. I held between the 2 and 4 minute hash marks, and it just clobbered them. And I tested that a few times, but my main interest in any scope is a resettable turret. And what that means is I can get this thing sighted in at 100 yards or 200 yards, and then I can take these caps off, put them on 0, and then from there I can look at a ballistic calculator. It'll give me my come up in MOA, and all I have to do is just dial it. Dial it, say 7 minutes to be dead on at 500 yards. That's it. I hold the reticle right on. I may hold one way or the other for wind. So that's always a feature I'm looking for on every scope. And of course you absolutely have to be able to trust that it's going to do what it's going to do. You don't want to take a shot on a deer, say the one I got at 630 yards. You do not want to take a shot on a deer that far away if you're not certain that this scope is going to track right to where it needs to be and make that shot. And I was very pleased with that. Like I said, the clarity on it too also allowed me to shoot through the hedgerow towards that deer. Now you can't see it real well on the camera, but when I was looking through this scope on that deer, I shot when I shot because I had a nice clear opening on her. And this scope allowed me to pick out the details around her to be able to make that shot. I guess as far as value goes, I'm not a big high-end scope guru by any means, but this scope right here would run you probably roughly $1,000, maybe a little less. And I've got to say it's well worth it. It's definitely well worth it. I mean, you have the option to either buy one of these or maybe two of the lower end Sightron SIII. If I had to do it all over again, I would probably just save my money and upgrade to this one. It's just totally worth it. Not to just say nothing but good things about it. There are a couple things that I don't like about it. One is just the way that this turret resets. It's a set Allen screw right on top. You got to be really careful when you're resetting your zero. You get sighted in wherever you're going to get sighted in. It actually almost is better to have a buddy help you out with it, because when you go to tighten that down, it's going to want to travel one way or the other. So you got to watch that. Another thing you got to watch for is that this does not have the zero stop feature, meaning you can go below zero. So, you know, you're taking this in and out of the vehicle, you're taking it in and out of the case. You know, these turrets can move on you. It's just something you got to be aware of. That's just the nature of an exposed turret. There's no way to lock them down, which I think Sightron probably should look into maybe doing that, just a way to lock it down once you are set to where you want to be. And another thing I would like to see on the windage turret, it goes, the dial right goes this way, and that says 1 MOA, 2 MOA, but if you want to dial left, it goes down to 14, 13, 12, so on and so forth. What I'd like to see is 1 R, 1 left underneath. That's something I saw that night force scopes like to do, and I think that's a good idea, because I don't see any purpose like you would dial 15 minutes right for windage. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. You just wouldn't do that. Maybe have it just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 L or right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. And I think it would just be simpler. The Focus does not have actual yardage markers on it, but from what I've gathered, most scopes that do have it, even those yardage markers aren't quite right. You just have to look through it and adjust it until your image is clear, and that also locks in your parallax. This scope here was like almost looking through a camera lens, how fine it focuses at certain distances, and you can focus it. Even on 24 power, I was able to focus it as close as 50 yards. So say you're a 22 competition shooter, something like that, you know, there you go. You can focus in on that fine target that's really close up to you. Oh, another thing I should mention about the turret itself is how much adjustment you actually get. I think I'm getting roughly 50 MOA worth of dial up on the scope after I've sighted it in. And that's just a tremendous amount of dial on it. A lot of scopes I've had will only go up to, say, 25, 20 sometimes. Having 50 minutes of dial will get you way out, well past out where I plan on shooting. And say if you do run out of dial, now you have the MOA reticle to fall back on as a backup. So that's another awesome feature of these. The S-Tac, the half the price version of this, also has that. But I'll tell you what, that S-Tac's glass will not touch this one. So like I said, I don't have a whole lot to compare the scope to, but I feel very happy with its price zone. I feel like it's right there. I mean, I have looked through some upper end loopholes. You know, it's right there with them all the way. Made in Japan, comes with the sunshade. So I mean, you get what you get. I mean, to me, like I said, all the money's going into the glass. The glass is just phenomenal. So anyway, I hope you guys will check out the other videos. I will be posting them in the description below. Please check out Doug's Optics and Outdoors. He's the only reason why I have this scope. I'll have a link in the description below for him as well. We're gonna be getting a lot more action in with this thing here this year. Well, hopefully break my long range record at 725. I think if there's any rifle that can do it, it will be this one. 7mm mag, get right out there. Got a great scope, got a great platform to shoot off of with this GRS stock. I've just been really thrilled with this thing. It's kind of one of my dream guns, really. And you know, doing these videos and all that has helped me fulfill what I wanted to build out of this rifle. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, sharing, and liking. Have a good day.